This is a stimulus update and daily news report. Got some important updates to share with you. Congress has just passed a new bill. I'll let you know what's in that. The Fed has just made an announcement that the interest rates are going to be up. I'll let you know how that affects the economy. New $1,000 checks, a possibility going in one state, and $1,200 payment going in another area of the country. And I'll give you some other important updates as well. Hope you're having a terrific Thursday. If you appreciate the fact-based, fast-paced updates, hit the like button down below and subscribe to the channel for more daily, straight-to-the-point updates. So, look at this. House just passes legislation to avert a rail shutdown. So, the whole rail labor strike and all that due to the 7 days paid sick leave. So, the first step has passed. It passed in the House. And here's some more information. It has to go to the Senate, and then President Biden has to sign off on it. So the House passed legislation Wednesday that would force a tentative rail labor agreement to thwart a nationwide strike. A separate House vote added 7 days of paid sick leave to agreement, and Biden has said he's reluctant to override the vote against the contract by some unions, but that a rail shutdown would devastate the economy. So if nothing is passed by December 9th, then there's going to be a huge strike, and this will affect a lot of parts of the economy. So basically, it was a 290 to 137 vote with 79 Republicans joining, 211 Democrats to pass the legislation. So looks like this is going to add the 7 days of paid sick leave in the contract instead of just one. And so it looks like things are moving forward. We're still waiting to hear from the Senate if they're going to go through with it. Take a look at this video clip explaining more.
Well, there's some news out of Washington where the House has approved a measure that would require rail labor unions to accept a contract they previously rejected. It would avert a nationwide rail strike ahead of the holidays, but the bill may face hurdles in the Senate. NBC News Chief White House correspondent Peter Alexander reports.
President Biden celebrating the lighting of the national Christmas tree, but it's the threat of a looming railroad strike that could still complicate the holidays for Americans. A strike that could occur as early as next Friday could cost the economy more than $500 million in its first week alone, according to one estimate.
Let me be clear, a nationwide rail shutdown would be catastrophic.
The House with a bipartisan vote to avert a work stoppage, approving legislation that would force the rail companies and their workers to accept an agreement the White House helped broker earlier this year, giving rail unions a 24% pay raise over 5 years. But several of the unions rejected that deal because it failed to provide enough paid sick leave. The question now, will it get derailed in the Senate? Retailers and manufacturers are already racing to find alternate ways to move their products. Everything from chlorine for safe drinking water to clothes.
Preparations are already in place a week or more out for the rail service. They're already having to find workarounds. That uncertainty is really poison for being able to plan in any sort of real way.
Some Senate Republicans arguing Washington should stay out of it.
Why should the federal government force a contract on workers that they have explicitly rejected?
And several Senate Democrats are demanding more paid sick leave. Mr. Secretary, how critical is it that the Senate approves this deal now?
It is critical. Look, the U.S. transportation system has no substitute for well-functioning freight rail. This is not a time when we can afford to have a lot of maneuvers, any kind of politics introduced here.
And Secretary Buttigieg joins us now live. Mr. Secretary, thanks for your time this morning. So this did pass through the House on a bipartisan basis. Have you spoken to members of the Senate, and are you confident it'll make it through there and soon?
I think it will. I hope it will. I'm going to be spending time with senators today, mainly to make sure they understand the implications of inaction for our transportation system. As you saw in the piece reported earlier, there is no substitute in the U.S. for functioning freight rail. And if a shutdown were to occur, that's not just shutting down our trains, it's really shutting down our economy. Immediately, you would see effects, including when it comes to inflation, prices shooting up because of the cost of shipping. You would see water treatment plants in some cases fairly quickly running out of the supplies that they need, and you could have American citizens in cities around the U.S. being told they need to boil their water or resort to bottled water. Within a few days, you would start to see our ports unable to operate because they couldn't ship the goods out of the port, so they would eventually get so congested they'd have to turn ships away. You would see our auto industry very quickly grinding to a halt because many facilities only have a couple of days of parts on hand. We estimate 765,000 layoffs in the first 2 weeks of a shutdown, with more to come after that. And there's no guarantee that those laid off workers would get their jobs back after a disruption ended. So my main concern is to make sure that the senators understand the implications of any kind of delay here with the clock ticking. Now, I do think it's frankly impressive to see how quickly, after Speaker Pelosi brought that to the floor yesterday, there was a strong bipartisan vote to enact that tentative agreement. This town is not known for working quickly, so it was, I think, a reflection of the urgency of the matter that the House moved that with such a strong vote. Now we need the Senate to do the same, get a bill to the president's desk, and really that bill needs to reach the president's desk this week or by this weekend in order to avoid some of the initial effects for our economy.
And the president has said that as well. They're still counting the votes, got to get to 60. Not clear that they have those votes just yet. Mr. Secretary, as you're well aware, the railroad unions are not happy about being forced into this position and having their strike blocked by the United States Congress with the backing of a president who often touts his pro-union credentials. What do you say to the unions this morning?
Well, yes, look, this is obviously something that a lot of leaders are looking at with reluctance. The president prides himself, and this administration prides itself on being the strongest pro-union administration in modern times. What we're talking about is a tentative agreement that was reached by labor leaders and companies at the bargaining table, including that 24% pay raise, average six-figure pay for rail workers, and speaking to some of their other concerns about benefits and quality of life. They have further concerns, very legitimate ones, when it comes to the ability to take sick leave. And, this reflects a compromise at the bargaining table that none of the sides thought was perfect, but is what it took to reach that preliminary accord. What I'm trying right now to make sure everybody understands is what would happen to our country if there were to be a shutdown.
So what are your thoughts on that? Should the rail workers just get the 7 days paid sick leave? It seems like that's just the easy solution here. Let me know your thoughts on that. When it comes to the economy, Fed Chair Powell says smaller interest rate hikes could start in December. So Federal Reserve Chairman Jerome Powell confirmed Wednesday that smaller interest rate increases are likely ahead and could start in December, but he cautioned that monetary policy is likely to stay restrictive for some time until real signs of progress emerge on inflation, and we will stay the course until the job is done, he said during a speech in Washington, D.C. yesterday. So it looks like there might be a small increase. What's said here is Fed Chair Powell signals 0.5% rate hike in December. So yeah, it looks like there could be a 0.5% hike, which isn't, I guess, too bad, could be worse. Moving on, when we talk about stimulus here, $1,000 stimulus checks from Minnesota, very possible now. So what it's saying here is Minnesotans could soon get a new stimulus check thanks to election results last month where Democrats won both the House and the Senate. Now that Democrats fully control of the state legislature, it is very possible that $1,000 stimulus checks from Minnesota could be a reality. So not definite yet, but now that I guess the Democrats are in control, that is a possibility. And then new $1,200 payment per month being sent out by U.S. City. Do you qualify to apply for the $21,600 windfall? So what's going on here? Guaranteed income program paying $1,200 payments per month over 18 months. This is going on in San Francisco, California, and it is the guaranteed income for transgender people. So I guess you have to be transgender in order to get this type of payment. Let me know your thoughts on this. If this is a good idea, bad idea. And yeah, that's all the news that I have for you today to hopefully brighten your day a bit. Here's my daughter Bella's tip of the day.
Hi guys, this is Bella. This is the tip of the day. I want to tell you something that you should do. So every time you make mistakes, you make mistakes, and you only have one life. So clean those up and make a new world. And also, what you should do is you should always be passionate what you with what you have, because that next time it won't be there, but still you'll be there. So you guys are great and good, and learn by your mistakes. So bye.
Thank you so much for watching. Not sure if you could tell, today's probably one of the most painful days I've had. It took me actually a few times. I keep blanking out. Stopped taking the pain meds maybe 3 days after the surgery, which was last week. And yesterday was a 24-hour shift for my wife. And so I watched the kids a lot, had to, do a lot of feeding, a lot of activities. And so, it's just in a lot of pain right now. But anyways, hopefully you have a great rest of your day. If you want to check out any of my other videos, click right up here, and I'll see you in the next video. Take care, be safe. Thank you for watching.